What's going on, guys? I have some more 2012 NFL offseason talk here, and today I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now I've talked about the Bucks, I've talked about the Seahawks, now I'm talking about Jacksonville. I want to get around to all the teams eventually. And so if you like these videos, please do leave a like on them and leave in the comment section if you want the next episode to be about whatever team you want me to talk about. But anyways, we're talking with the Jacksonville Jaguars today, who finished last year at 5-11. Head coach Jack Del Rio was fired, and now they have Mike Mularkey in from Atlanta. And what do they got to do to improve in the 2012 season? I think it's got to be all on offense. They have a pretty good defense. They have some solid players, although Rashean Mathis coming back from an injury, Terrence Knight in his nightclub incident, that's stuff you don't want to see. But overall, they have a pretty good defense. They got Aaron Ross this offseason. They have a pretty good group of linebackers and a defensive line, and they showed last year they could play tough defense in games they needed to. Last year, their biggest win, I would say, was against the Baltimore Ravens back in October when they won 12-7, a low-scoring game. I watched that game. It was a lot of fun to watch, but they have to improve on offense, and that starts right up with the quarterback. The guy who they drafted 10th overall in last year's draft, Blaine Gabbert, who struggled last year, and a lot of people are already calling him a bust. And while I've kind of said some things about Blaine Gabbert, he was a rookie quarterback, and you kind of got to give guys a chance. And to be fair, Gabbert did not have a lot to work with. He has the all-pro running back, Maurice Jones-Drew, but even with an all-pro running back, that is not enough to have an offense. They had a pretty good offensive line, but just the receivers were not there. Mercedes Lewis is a pretty good tight end. He caught 39 balls last year. I don't think he's a great tight end, but he's at least a capable pass catcher. And then they have Maurice Jones-Drew, who was a very good running back, but Mike Thomas was their number one receiver. 44 catches, 415 yards, that is not enough. And the guy's undersized, 5'8", was playing on the outside a lot, caught one touchdown last year. You had Jason Hill and Jarrett Dillard, and just not a lot of great receivers. And they addressed that this offseason by getting Laurent Robinson in free agency from the Cowboys, and of course trading up in the first round to draft Justin Blackmon, who was by many the number one rated wide receiver prospect, although I think I'm more on the Michael Floyd bandwagon myself. But with those two guys alone, that should improve their offense. And last year, they were 32nd in yards on offense and 32nd in passing yards. When you're throwing 136 yards a game, you're not going to win a lot of ball games. I'm surprised they even won 5, and that's a product of their good defense. But, I mean, when Blaine Gabbert played last year, I have his stats up right now on my computer, and they were not scoring very many points. When I was talking about the Seahawks video last time, it was about them not being able to score 20 points or more. And here, they only scored 20 points or more twice in the time that Blaine Gabbert even played. They won 4 games with him playing. Gabbert threw for 12 touchdowns, 11 picks, and his completion percentage was just over 50%. So it was tough. Blaine Gabbert looked shaky in the pocket at times, but I can't really blame him. And I think that this year will be a lot better. And I think at least with Laurent Robinson and Justin Blackmon, the Jaguars will get to see what they actually have in Blaine Gabbert. I mean, last year he was a rookie quarterback. Yes, he did not play well, but to be honest, he did not have much to work with. And I just look for this year being the time for Jacksonville to decide whether or not they have something in Blaine Gabbert, or it's time for them to move on with some youth on this offense with Laurent Robinson and Justin Blackmon to get a new quarterback in there. They got Chad Henne this offseason. If it doesn't go well with Blaine Gabbert, at least they can throw him in there in case Gabbert has another bad season. And while I myself am not a Blaine Gabbert fan, I do think at least you'll get to see this year whether Blaine Gabbert has a future with this team or it's time for Jacksonville to go ahead next year. I say if Blaine Gabbert has another bad season, they're probably going to be picking pretty high again and have one of the opportunities to get a guy like Tyler Wilson. I have no idea who the top quarterbacks are even going to be. The season hasn't even started yet. But I think if Gabbert doesn't work out, they probably finish pretty low in the division again, and they have a high pick, and they can use that on a new quarterback and a new experiment and move on from the Blaine Gabbert. Well, that's if it doesn't pan out. But looking at the rest of their draft, Andre Branch out of Clemson, good pass rusher, helps with their defense a little bit. I think their defense is an overall solid unit if you look at their stats from last year. They only gave up a little over 300 yards a game or were a top 10 ranked defense, but the offense is where it needs to step up for Jacksonville if they want to be able to score some points and hang with guys like the Texans and be able to get ahead of the Titans and the Colts. And their third round pick, which a lot of people speculated about, I was actually talking about it in my live stream a little bit about why I liked it. And I don't know how good of a punter Bryan Anger is, but he was the first punter taken in the draft. He was taken in the third round, which is pretty high for a kicker or a punter to be taken. But if he's a solid punter, I was just saying, if you have a solid defense and you have a good special teams unit with a good punter, at least you can play the field position game and give your offense the best situations possible to succeed. And with a shaky quarterback, I think it's a pretty good move to get a good punter if he's going to be a great punter. I'm not even sure how great he was in college or anything. And here, look at this lateral I tried to pull off. But anyways, if their defense is good and special teams is good, it'll take the pressure off of Blaine Gabbert and hopefully make his job a little bit easier. And if that's not enough, then I think it is time to move on for the Jacksonville Jaguars with some youth, Laurent Robinson, Justin Blackmon. I like their defense. I just think the key to all this working for Jacksonville is the quarterback, like it is for many teams. And Blaine Gabbert right now has a lot of doubters, and I just want to see if he's going to be able to put those doubters aside and be able to play well with Blackmon and Robinson. And obviously Maurice Jones-Drew right now is holding out of OTAs. He wants a contract extension. He's been absent at their OTAs. And in week 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars will head on over to Minnesota to take on my Minnesota Vikings in a game I think it's going to be pretty big for both teams because the Vikings secondary was awful last year. They made some free agent acquisitions this year and obviously got Josh Robinson and Harrison Smith and Robert Blanton in the draft. But I'm already looking forward to that week 1 matchup, Blaine Gabbert versus the Vikings secondary. I'm really looking forward to it and seeing how we can get along with Blackmon and Robinson in that week 1 game. But leave your guys' feedback on the Jacksonville Jaguars and be sure to leave a comment on the video about the team you want to see me talk about next. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.